this last week, I discovered that I have tinnitus, like of the ear, and I've had it a long time, but it's the first time I ever stopped to notice. And some people, you think it's always a ringing, but it comes in different forms. There's a ringing, and then they've got one that's like a siren, and mine sounds like crickets in the distance. Yeah. So every time it quiets down, I hear the one thing that every comedian dreads the most. Every time a joke bombs. Well, it's great. I love meeting with you guys. It's a place for family and friends. I see my sister's here. Hey, sis. Patty's at Disneyland, so she couldn't make it. It's the first one she's missed, by the way, ever. I challenged her to tune in from Disneyland, and she's like, yeah, right. She's so happy that they don't have to wear masks and everything's back. Sports back, 100% capacity. That feels good. I was watching one of the playoff games, and in the stands, they had one of the religious signs. You know, it was like Matthew 5:17. And I always wondered, like, why there? Like, that's your moment? It seems like a weird place for it. Imagine if you went into church and somebody stood up in the back, Rams 7, Steelers 3. Just so you know. I don't know. I looked up Matthew 5:17 and it said, ye shall be strong on defense and drain the 3. I don't know. I'm getting loopy, folks. I'm getting loopy. I have a British friend, Matt, and he thinks that we're lame in America for calling our game football because, you know, that's their name for their sport. And he's right. You know, when you play football, when does it ever touch your foot? Like the first thing the quarterback does, hand it off or throw it. The only time they kick it is when they're out of good options. Calling a specialist. We should call soccer handball just to piss those guys off. Well, we throw it in every once in a while, so yeah, handball. I love how in football you get called for unnecessary roughness. Like, all that other roughness couldn't be avoided, but that, no. Don't make me throw my hanky. Tesla's in the news. Tesla's always in the news. They were talking about their safety ranking. The car goes from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Doesn't make a noise. Does that sound safe? I mean, half the people are walking around with their heads down on their phone. And do we need a car that goes 60 miles an hour in 3 seconds? I mean, who is that for? Tesla. Tesla, the official car of bank robbers everywhere. Elon Musk, is that his name? Elon Musk, yeah. He always brags about how much fuel they save, but then every other week he launches a rocket. 80,000 gallons per launch. So it's good. I saw my sister. She went to the beach with her fam. Good on you, sis. She's got this. Her kids have this really dreamy life. A friend of ours brought over their 2-year-old, and my job was to watch them while the grown-ups talked. Yeah. Evidently, I'm not part of the grown-up group. I'm over here on 2-year-old. And you would not believe how many things could go wrong in an hour. Oh, he's got a pen. He's by the pool. He's biting a wire. Now I know what the crib is for. That's just suicide watch. Solitary. Our friend's a wedding planner, and that's got to be the worst job. People say it must be hard to be a comic. No, wedding planner. All you could do is screw up the most important day of their life. If I bomb, it's an hour of your time. If they bomb, there's a resentment that comes at you like, oh, nobody knows that amount of resentment. Maybe a bad hairdresser, but after that, nobody. Yeah, I've taken a few Ubers lately, and man, I got stories from the Uber guy. My last one, by the way, at the LAX, he had a rabbit's foot dangling from his, rear view mirror. I'm like, oh, is that lucky? Because the rabbit had four. His name was Lucky. It's not so lucky. A song with just stupid lyrics. I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy. All right, Bob, but you shot the sheriff, right? How about that song by Sade, Coast to Coast, LA to Chicago? Okay. Children, we'd like you to meet your new geography teacher. Here's a song that I've been listening to my whole life, and then it dawned on me, they answer their own question right in the music. Should I stay or should I go now? If I go, there will be trouble. If I stay, there will be double. So if you go, there'll be trouble, and if you stay, there will be double. You go, right? That's half as much trouble. I guess the choice, it is easy. I just gotta do the math and cut my trouble down by half. So come on and let me know how this record went to go. All right. How about one more, and then we're gonna roll this thing along. Here's something I'm kind of dusting these off because I might need them at some point. So, this one goes back to my favorite era in the '90s, and it was I love the band Oasis. That was one of my favorite bands, but they never became as big as they could because the lead singer would, flip cigarette butts at people when he didn't like the question and walk out on concerts, 20,000 people. See ya. And he finally punched out his brother, who wrote all the music, and that's how Oasis ended. Today was gonna be the day, but I had too many drugs to do. By now, I should have somehow be careful about who I screw. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do, but Charlie Sheen. And now the only autographs I'm signing are documents the courtroom says are binding. There are many times that I'd like to shut my mouth, but I don't know how. All right. There's an ending chord in there somewhere. Okay. Well, hey guys, this is going to be fun. I really do appreciate you tuning in. It was my dream all along that we could keep on doing it, and I know there are a lot of choices. My own wife is at Disneyland right now, so I know you have choices. But we still got 100 people here, and so it makes my heart happy. So we're going to keep doing them, and we're going to ride this wave as long as it goes. Okay, and thank you for being a part of it, everyone. I really do mean that. All right. And it's also, as you know, my favorite part about this is I get to share with you the comedians that I enjoy the most and that I miss and love. And I never get to work with your next comedian very often, but when I do, she's super funny. And I just like her personally as well. She has been on stand-up in Stilettos. She performs overseas for the troops. She's a regular at Flappers. Put your hands together for Laura Hayden.
Oh my gosh, that's me, everybody. That's me. What a delightful group of people you are. Oh my gosh, thank you, Jason. I'm scrolling through the thing. You guys have the nicest chat. Well, oh, by the way, welcome to the world's biggest drinking game. It's ending, sadly. COVID taught us nothing. It was, it brought back our love of baking bread and day drinking. Come on. It's Friday night. We're at home. If you're not having a glass of wine, you're losing, or something harder. You can have whiskey, whatever. I don't care. I do have rules in my show. I have rules. Every time someone says pandemic or COVID or quarantine, you must drink. That's the rules. It's our own personal drinking game here. And I like to look to the panelists. John Roy has a brick wall. I'm guessing he's a comic. Pat, you are just a blank. So I'm thinking you're either taking a nap or you're doing activities we're not allowed to see. David Cooper, I love you. Look like you're watching the show, but your other person there looks like she's watching her programs on another TV over there. The Yermans are sharing dinner with us. That's nice. Randy Elliott, I love the fact that you like modern. I know, I see the USC. You drank the Kool-Aid. I see it. I know. If he's gonna put that, I know it's part of your heart. You have to give to the alumni fund too. I know how it works. I grew up. I like the painting in the background. I like that you like surrealistic, and I like the fact that you look like you're watching the show sometimes, and most of the time it looks like you're watching the Clipper game on the other TV. You look like you're doing math problems in the back there. I just want you to know. Tammy, looking very chill. I like that. Jason, you also look like you might be working at the same time. That's all right. Rick has abandoned us. He doesn't want us to see, but I saw him drinking. Don't worry. Ken, you're also drinking. Well done. Christine is on a horse. Look at that. She's watching the show and she's on a horse. It might be a donkey. Can't tell. It looks like a horse though. Mary is a whole bunch of penguins. And Emily, we saw her briefly, and I think she's gone into the amoeba abyss drink. Like she was. She's back. She was taking Molly, and now she's back. It's great. David and Laura, I love the window in the back. Looks like you're listening from a church. Just so you know, Douglas, you guys look like you're on some sort of like what is it, that fish camera? Like you're just so tiny. And then Sue, poor Sue, she's the Sheraton in Santa Barbara, which is lovely, but she's a building. And Shannon, I have to tell you, you look like the after picture when people go to the gym and they look pretty afterwards. Like I'm the before, and Shannon's, this is what you would look like if you worked out and you were pretty. You would be Shannon, and you should go to the gym more often, Laura. That's what happens. Esther, you're looking very chill like that. Nicole and Rob, you are also on the fish camera. I see that. Oh, the Edens look very chill like that. Linda, very pretty, smiling. She's afraid of what I'm going to say about her. Miss Hooper, I know, is a comic. I'm going to leave her alone because she's going to kill me later. Beth, you guys look so happy. Like you're like, we're up. Yeah, I know you're like, but you're like 1 hour away from like turning out the light and going to bed. Like that's where you're going right now. Mike and Carol, everybody else is, Ralph and Gail have left the building, just so you know. Their TV is watching the show. It's very nice. The rest of you look good. You look all very good. The people that don't have their cameras on, I'm very concerned about them because aliens do happen, and if they're muted. But anyhow, I am delighted to be here. I'm having a little bit of problem with the whole ending of the quarantine COVID situation. That means you can drink. Because we're going to have to go back into the real world, and we're going to have to get used to the fact that 6 ounces is an actual wine pour in a restaurant. I don't know how it's been working in your house, but 6 ounces is not a glass of wine in my house anymore. I don't know about you. I don't see a problem with half the bottle going in the glass. That's the way we pour at home. You're going to get to a restaurant, you're going to leave. What happened to the rest of my glass that I got? And by the way, when I do Zoom shows, it's not really a comedy show. I actually think it's a telethon. Right now, I'm selling this. It's available for you. I will ship. It comes with a handle. It's very sharp. You can skin seals with it. I bought it in Alaska, just so you know, in case we have to start skinning seals. Anything. If you act now, it's $19.99. If you wait, it's gonna be $29.99. So if you like antiques, I have this lovely dish as well. I think it's 100 years old. I don't know what to do with it. I sold the Tom Brady football already. Sorry about that. That went away. Yeah, somebody knew the name of the knife. Well done, Sue Davis. Of course you knew. Of course you knew. Anyhow, I sold the Tom Brady football. It was adequately deflated, just so you know. So we know what to feel. But I am very excited to be here. I'm looking forward to getting out in the real world. I actually started my whole quarantine situation February of 2019. Remember that way back then? Remember when Tiger King was like, was it Tiger King? Was that the name of it? I can't remember the name of it. That was so pertinent like 1 year ago. And now we're like, whatever that was. February 2019, I had just gotten back from Afghanistan. And who knew that that would be the highlight of my year, okay? Afghanistan was the highlight of my year. I actually got to see people's faces, no mask. I got to touch them. That was so lovely. And I got to eat meals with them. And then I came home from Afghanistan and then got, stuck inside forever. And I am actually not negative about everything about COVID. I think some cool things happened. I actually got to do a Zoom show with an astronaut. And I don't know if in my real life, I don't know how you work, but in your real life, I'm pretty sure none of you get to talk to an astronaut. And I got to talk to an astronaut because I was on a panel with a Zoom show. And I was like, and because I was the only comic, I work in the medical field during the day. I actually have a responsible job. And I was on this panel. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm talking to this astronaut and they're all asking, what's it feel like to be, in small spaces in quarantine for long periods of time, blah, blah, blah. And then they get to me and they're like, Lord, do you have any questions? And because I'm a comic, which means I'm a jerk on some level, or I have the brain of a teenage boy, I actually asked the astronaut, I'm like, well, in an airplane, it's called a Mile High Club. So do we have a name for space? And she politely declined. And I think she's lying. I've looked it up. On the internet. There's names for it. I'm going with Galaxy Quest, just so you know. That's my name. That's what I'm calling it. That's what I'm calling it. But right after Afghanistan, before I came home, I got to go to Ethiopia. And if you get a chance to go to Ethiopia, I know, but if you get a chance, not right now, but if you get a chance to go to Ethiopia, please go to Ethiopia. It's a beautiful country, third world country, where surprisingly I gained weight, but it's a third world country. And I know, I actually got malaria in Ethiopia. Who knew that still existed? Malaria, I know. Malaria. They saw this pasty girl in Africa and they're like, oh my God, she's so exotic. She's like sushi, she's undercooked. And they moved in. I got over 70 mosquito bites. You've actually been to Ethiopia. Of course you have, Christine. You've been everywhere. You're on a horse right now. Why would you have gone to Ethiopia? You're watching a Zoom show from a horse in Santorini. Have you not been to Ethiopia? You've been to Ethiopia. But I got malaria there. So when I came home and they said there's this COVID thing, I'm like, whatever. I've had malaria, disease I didn't even know existed anymore. I can't give it to you over Zoom, so don't worry. But I got 70 mosquito bites. 70. I know, it's just crazy. And it was weird being in Ethiopia. So you can attest to this. In Ethiopia, they live with their wildlife. They don't even try to contain it. Like they would have guards outside a restaurant, not to take your temperature, not to make sure you've been vaccinated, but to keep baboons out. They have guards in the restaurants to keep baboons out. Not even kidding you. And I was in a proper restaurant, sitting at a table, minding my own business, when a baboon landed right there in my face, right here. And I was like, worst breath ever, halitosis, like you can't even imagine. And I was like, oh my God, this is so scary. I'm like, I so need to change the settings on my Tinder account. They're way too liberal. I forgot to tick the box, no primates. No hairy primates, because some of you are going to check me on that. Yeah, I know humans are primates. But I'm a single girl. I was married for a long time. I got divorced. Yay. And I was married for 28 years. I'm married at 12, in case you're doing the math. And like the way that adds up better. So married long enough to know. And so I have not been single since Bush was president. The first one. So I don't know how to date. So my friend signed me up for all these dating apps. And I'll just tell you right now, ladies, if you're in a relationship, stay there. Okay? Stay there. Shannon, you're very young and sexy, but stay there. Stay there. Okay? Horrible. I'm just telling you right now, I went on 23 dates in the middle of a global pandemic. 23 first dates with a mask and social distancing. That's sexy. I actually came up with what I call the Corona date. And that's, this is what you do. You both go in your car through a drive-through, because that was all that was open, with your mask on, and then you pull up cop style side by side, and then you have a date. Thanks for liking that, my church people, Dave and Laura. Good clapping. That's nice. And then you have like a date. Your social distance, and you could have a little sipper on the side like this. Try to make it nicer and more attractive. Oh, look at Christine's off her horse. That's so nice. But now she's in some sort of like rock star bedroom. I don't know. He looks like Hugh Hefner's old mansion or something. I don't know. So that's the Corona date. I don't know how to date. I really don't. But I actually deleted myself from all social media, because the last person on social media, before they asked, stupid things like what flavor ice cream I like, or what my last name is, or maybe even, what I do for a living, they wanted to know my bra size. So I'm just telling you right now, stay in the relationship. Just stay in the relationship. Randy looks like that was maybe, he's like, well, maybe I should write that down. That seems like a good opening. We know how you are at USC. No, I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you. I couldn't resist. Those who don't live in California, you might know that there are people that have gone to USC and they drink the Kool-Aid. And they have to always support USC. I'm only teasing. I actually went to USC. I actually have transcripts from 19 colleges. So if you have, I'm technically Dr. Laura now, and not that one. I like the fact that he's giving me the hand now. He's like, she dissed my school. Randy's like, you can now look at the hand. But I actually gone to USC. I've taken some classes there, so it's okay. But if you have young children out there, I tell them not to follow my example. Do not follow my example, because all I am really good is at Jeopardy. That's all I'm just telling you. 19 colleges. Don't do it. I will. I have to go shortly, and I feel like we just bonded. I have so many more stories I was going to tell you, but I just got back from Hawaii, and that was like my first trip since Ethiopia. And I know you're jealous, Christine. I know you got off the horse to watch the show, but I was in a wedding that was actually supposed to take place a year ago to the date. So, and I was at this girl's I was the matron of honor at this girl's first wedding. This is her second wedding. And so, because I was married, matron of honor, and when you're not married, you're the maid of honor, but now I'm divorced, so we didn't know what to call me. So officially, I was the attendant of honor, but unofficially, we were going with Hoochie Mama of honor. I think that's just renaming things in the world the way I want them. We have Galaxy Quest and Hoochie Mama of honor. So, it's just going to be HM, Your Honor. You guys have been delightful. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Jason. And you have an amazing show still coming up. So thank you very much for letting me play.
All right.
This is still available. This is still available.
Laura Hayden, she's got a little, like a little, what do you call that? Little chopping block for merch. I love it. You should take those. That'll be fun going through airport security with those for merch, Laura. All right, everybody. Fantastic. And by the way, Randy Elliott said, everyone's saying how much they love you. I can't even keep up,
yay,
Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tony, my right-hand man, said, don't go. Randy says that you're great. So much fun. I've been trying to get Laura on for a long time. We've rebooked her a bunch of times. So she's busy. She's in demand. She's the Hoochie Mama of comedy. And my mom is here. I didn't even know she was here. Hi, Mom. All right, guys, I'm going to share this too before I forget. This is our next show on July 3rd, which is a Saturday. And we'd love to see you there. And like Tony said, if you can share it with a friend, all the better. But mark your calendar. And we got Darren Carter and Goulden and a couple of surprises. Okay, your next comedian. Speaking of guys I've been trying to book, super funny guy. I was sitting here for 15 minutes and did not look up his credits, which is my only job. But I know that he won Star Search, which is like a very, it's like the Stanley Cup of credits for me. And he's really popular among all the comedians, plays across the country. Put your hands together for John Roy.
Hey, hello. Thank you.
Where are we, John?
Thank you, Jason. It is good to
there
be
you
here. I have always wanted to perform in the same place that I've spent the last 15 months of my life. So it's great. The pandemic is over, thank God. But I didn't even really get out in the world when it ended. I got vaccinated, and then immediately my wife gave birth to our new firstborn son. So I am now in baby boot camp, sleep deprivation land. I drank a whole Coke literally an hour ago, and I said, "Did I drink that whole Coke?" And my wife's like, "Yeah, what's like it's not working up here." But my son is wonderfully healthy. He is he's 14 days old as of today, but he is already going to the bathroom on a 4th grade level. So we're very good. I'm just happy that he is now on the outside of my wife, because those last 2 months were really rough on her. He punched her uterus so forcefully and so frequently that I was actually afraid my wife may have cheated on me with the Kool-Aid man. But he is out, healthy and happy, and we love it. But now I have to rejoin society because I have no more excuse to sit in my room all day. And I got to tell you, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I mean, first I got to lose weight because I'm a skinny guy, but I've got this gut. And if I were a stocky guy, you wouldn't really even notice that. But a skinny guy with a gut is not a good look. No one's ever like, "You got a great body. You look like a snake ate a pig." I'm trying this diet called Whole30. Maybe you've heard of it. If you haven't, it's a diet where for 30 days, you eat nothing but steak, vegetables, and fruit. And then your body sheds pounds through a process called diarrhea. It's very effective. And I was so excited when I started the diet. I bought a calendar and filled in the whole 30 days on day 1 because I wasn't sure how well it was going to go. And I'm like, oh, well, they let us eat carrots. So day 1, I'm making Yankee pot roast. And day 2, I'll fry perch fillets and arrowroot flour. Then day 3, I'll make homemade lettuce wraps like they do at P.F. Chang's. And then I gave up and ate hot dogs with a fork for 26 days. Oh man, I gotta get out. I gotta fly. We flew. We had to go, back home when my wife was pregnant, showed everybody the baby bump. Everybody got vaccinated, so we got on a plane. And the first flight, there was a medical emergency. And it had nothing to do with COVID. And the guy ended up totally fine. But there was a really tense moment where the flight attendant got on the PA and she was like, "Are there any doctors on the plane?" And I was like, "Not flying Spirit, there's not." Not on the wrong airline. It's $35 extra to get a co-pilot on a Spirit flight. And I immediately felt bad for the Spirit flight attendants. There's never any doctors. But if they were like, "Are there any DJs or people taking real estate classes?" There would have been a mob scene on that plane. They were like, "It's an emergency. Is anyone driving both Uber and Lyft?" I could have held tryouts. That's something I got to do again, Uber and Lyft. I hadn't taken a ride share the entire pandemic. I didn't do it. And I felt bad, honestly, because I knew that those drivers needed the money, but I just couldn't feel safe. It's just impossible to be 6 feet away from anyone in a Kia Spectra. Like the closest you can get to 6 feet is if you're like holding on to the hood like you're trying to kill John Wick. Technically, that's actually safer, really, than being inside. You got a windshield in front of the guy's face. You got a gun if you need it. You're outside in the open air. But here we are, right? It's over. The thing is over, and we got to go like meet people and talk to people. My wife was like, "Let's go." We got other couples we know that have had kids around the same time. And my wife's like, "Oh, let's go to the Brongers and have dinner." And I'm like, "I don't know if I'm ready for that." And she's like, "You love the Brongers. We were there just a year ago." I'm like, "Yeah, but a lot has changed since then. I mean, I don't even know if I know how to talk to other human beings anymore." It's just been me and my wife in a tiny condo staring at each other, making up our own language for 15 years. He's like, well, come on, these are old friends. What are you? I'm like, yeah, but I'm different now. I spent 15 months on a couch watching weird TV shows. I don't have any social skills anymore. Like, I'm afraid, honestly, that I'm going to corner my friend in his own kitchen and be like, are you watching Formula One Drive to Survive on Netflix? You got to start with season 2. It's not I just have no confidence. All I've been doing is watching Netflix, like all of it. Like, I have now come to the point where I have been told that I watch too much Netflix by Netflix. I was sitting on the couch. I'd watched a lot of Netflix, to be fair. And then this message comes on the screen and it says, are you still watching? I was like, why? Are you still judging? Judgy over there, Netflix. But to answer your question, yes, I'm still watching. I don't know if you knew this over at Netflix, but there's a global pandemic on right now that's killed 10 million people. And if I walk outside, my lungs might not work anymore. So yes, I have sat here and watched 8 consecutive episodes of the Great British Baking Show. And if you don't like that, Netflix, maybe kick some of that Fuller House money over to Moderna and crank some more vaccines out, and maybe we can get an end to this thing. But until then, why don't you put Paul Hollywood back on and take me back to the land of cupcakes? Netflix, too. That's just a very weird mixed message from them that they're telling me what are you still watching? Because usually when you're done watching an episode of anything on Netflix, they just start the next one. They don't give you any time to think about whether you need to go to work the next morning. A 9-second countdown is not enough time for me to weigh my obligation to my employer against finding out how that kid got stuck in the wall and strangled. Not even a heroin dealer does that. When you're out of drugs, he's not already on your porch going, I got your next bag, buddy. 10, 9, 8. Watched a lot of old TV shows. We ran out of new TV shows. We had to go watch old stuff we never seen before. And when you watch old TV shows, especially from the 90s, 2000s, you watch them now, after Trump was president, it's just, when you see the president on these old shows, it just blows your mind, because the president's always the same type of person, whether they're white or black or a man or a woman. They're always a very buttoned down newscast. It's like a newscaster married a surgeon, and this is their kid, and they got a suit, and they're like, well, I'm very serious about all the things that are happening. And then you look at Trump now, and well, not now, he's gone, but when he was there at all makes no sense when you watch old TV shows. Because if you turn on a TV show in the 90s and the president looked like Trump, something had gone wrong in the world of that TV show. If you see the guy and he looks like Trump, and that's the president, that means Doc Brown messed up the timeline, and we got to go back to the future. I don't even think Biden would be president on a 90s TV show. Maybe he might be the mayor. Or maybe a guy like Biden might be the FBI guy who comes in and takes the case away from the cops. You guys had your chance. It's over. Come on, get out of here. Maybe that guy. But if you saw a TV show in the 90s and the president looked like Biden, that meant, not that there'd been a major disaster, but, maybe some people were dead and they had to make the Secretary of Malarkey the president. I don't know what to do next with my free time. Thankfully, I have an infant, so I'm not going to have a lot of any of that to have to think about. But it's just a weird situation. Oh, one more thing about that whole president thing. Because Trump has been in the White House, it's going to have to change the way Hollywood casting agents decide who gets to play the president in the future. Danny DeVito's agent is going to have some new arguments about why can't Danny read for the president. I also think you should look at my other clients like Ken Jeong and Rebel Wilson. Been sitting here working from home. I got to get paid on Venmo. That's an app where you send people money over the phone. And it's a great app if you want money instantly. But there's one feature on Venmo that I don't understand. I don't know why people are okay with this, because to send money on Venmo, there you have to put the amount of money, put the person's name, and then there is a blank where you have to type in what it's for. And you can't leave that blank. But once you type something in there, Venmo sends that out as a text to everyone in your phone that has the Venmo app. And people are just fine with this, with blind tweeting their financial history out to everyone they've ever spent brunch with. They even put it in emojis. And if you ever thought that there was no such thing as white privilege, go on Venmo. Scroll through your friends' what is it fors and see just how little effort your white friends are putting into disguising their obvious felony drug purchases. You have to have a Caucasian level of lack of fear of cops before you are willing to let everyone in your phone know that you spent $300 on nose snowflake lightning bolt. You got to be sure that the worst consequence of that Venmo is another Venmo for dead courthouse money bags. And that will do it for me. Thank you so much, Jason and Tony and everybody else. You guys have been awesome. And you can follow me if you want more of this nonsense on Twitter or Instagram at John Roy Comic. Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right, John Roy Comedy. Look at that graceful dismount. I love it. That's a pro. That's a guy who's 1-star search right there. And Gary Hartman said he loved your Spirit Airline doctor joke. So did I, by the way. And Darren Biamonte, our friend, said, so funny. My mom loved you. You're in with my mom, John. That's as good as you could get. So does Laura and Dave, our friends up north. Hey, and before I move on, I'm going to put this share link on very awkwardly right now because I forgot. There, if you want to tip the comics, there's our Venmo. There's our Venmo, John, right there. Just make a note of what it's for. Nose, lightning bolt, snowflake. That's what you put in the. If you do tip the comics, that's what you got to put in now. Okay, and some of you, I've tried to move you over to the panelist section and it's not letting me. I don't know if there's like a block feature or it's glitchy, but I think that's as many as we can get. So thank you for those of you who are laughing and being a part of our live studio audience. We really appreciate that. And everyone's doing a great job of not being too on top of the mic, but still laughing freely. So thumbs up to you guys. Okay, your next comedian. She is super funny. She's coming to us from Florida. She has a really solid dry bar comedy special. And speaking of holy grail of comedian credits, she won the Female Comedian of the Year on the American Comedy Awards. Put your hands together for Mary Ellen Hooper.
Hey guys. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I've been just like everybody. I don't say that I've been quarantined. We just put a spin on it. And I can just tell you that I've been spending a lot of quality time with my family. Did that convince you? My therapist said I should say quality time with, and I think it's so cute. You could tell John's a new dad. Like he said, I couldn't wait till the baby to get the baby out. I have a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old, and I've been trying to get them back in. And I adopted, so really weird. It's just, it was so much easier before they got here. I have two, almost, the one's almost a teenager. They're in the car. Because you know what, mommy needs a little me time, and we're all locked down. Where else can I send them? Get in the car. Yeah, because we send them to private school, which is a lot of money, you know. But there's no way that I should teach them. But then the government said that I needed to over this past year. They were virtually going to school, which meant that I was supposed to be teaching them. And there's a court order against things like that. And they figured it out too. I was trying to, help them with their homework, but they figured it out. So after a while, I just heard them going, Alexa, who's the president of Ethiopia? Alexa. And I'm so proud to say that Alexa made the honor roll. He's doing really well. So I don't want to say that I've been really careful. Like my family, we just didn't leave. When all this started, I had a bob. So this is how long I've been locked up. And I've been doing my own hair, which is actually okay because I was a hairdresser. And I don't know if anybody does hair. Shannon, you look like you could do hair. You're so cute. It's real hair. Did you do your hair during the pandemic or did you go get it done?
No, I've never, nope, just bun.
Yeah, that's a pandemic hairdo.
Yeah, it is.
What are we talking about?
My husband wants to thank Jason because this is the first time I've had makeup on in a year. So funny. And the way things change so much because this is how I get him to know that I'm in the mood is I take my mask and I go, how you doing? That's how it takes. Like, meet me in the pantry. I got you this special cookies you like. Yeah, we're not doing anything. We're just eating. So that's actually what COVID-19 stands for, is the 19 pounds that we all gained. And then he had the great idea of growing a COVID beard. And I'm like, who can play that game? I totally beat him. He tapped out after 2 weeks. Yeah, there's a lot that he didn't know until now. So, but everyone in my house looks good because, like I said, I was a hairdresser. I went to beauty school when I was really young because I had a Barbie head when I was little. You know what the Barbie head is? Shannon's loud. She knows. Yeah. Yeah. Christine, do you know what the Barbie head is? It was like a Barbie head. They made it bigger, but then you just brush your hair. But when you brush your hair, it would fall over. So I used to have to put the neck between my knees, in the hair to hold it up, which really scared my mom when she walked in on that little scene. Turn your face out when you do that. Oh. I got good at doing hair, so I went to beauty school, which is so different because, all of a sudden you're working on a real person's head. She was screaming. I forgot to turn her face out. I don't know if you guys know this, but when you're a hairdresser, you people bring you pictures of what they want to look like. Pictures of them. I'm thinking to myself, it's a comb, not a wand. I mean,
There it is.
It is Jeannie.
yes, this woman had she had a half an inch of hair on her head, yelling, "I want something different." $30. See, and now you would think that guys would be easier, right? To do guys' hair, but poor little bald guys, they can't help it. Don't look at anyone. They can't help it. When they get older, gravity sucks their hair back in, and then it shoots out their ears for some. And I had to shampoo it. What do you want it layered?
Oh, I didn't want to do that.
I know it's so gross. When you cut a guy's hair, you have to shave the back of their necks. Did you girls know that? Nancy, she's because they grow that fur collar. And some guys grow the whole shirt. So how far down am I supposed to shave? Really awkward question, you know. Where's the line, Sasquatch? Oh God, tank tops are wearing turtlenecks. Yeah, so anyway, so everyone in the house looks good because I've been doing everybody's hair. And I don't know about you guys, but I fell victim and we got an extra pet, what they call it, a pandemic pet. So I got a COVID cat. And it's crazy because my youngest son wanted a cat because I've always been a dog person and I've never had a cat. I have friends who have cats. Well, they say. Never actually seen them. I mean, you show up, you might smell something, but there's no cat there. They've got pictures, but I've never seen a cat anywhere. I don't know anything about cats and I don't know what's happening. All I know is that there's a wild animal in my house now. But I'm really happy because it poops in a box. So because I know dogs, and when a dog will roll over and show you your belly, you're supposed to rub the belly. Oh my God, that's a trap. It's a trap.
Yes, you're right.
I rolled over and I went and then I came up bloody. I swear, petting this cat is like playing that game, Operation. It's in, and I think I'm doing well, and then
Oh, that's so true.
and nobody's helping me. And finally, they said, "Well, you gotta let the cat come to you." And so I sat, and all of a sudden the cat jumped in my lap, and I'm like, and I told my husband, don't move. And the cat curled up in my lap, and then it coughed up that thing. And I called my friend, and she's like, it's a hairball. And I'm like, all right, I'm a hairdresser, but I cannot handle that. You guys, it's been so hard. So the only thing, when all this started, the only thing that was open was a grocery store and Home Depot. And that was so cruel because now every weekend I had to go to Home Depot. And I just wandered with because my husband's been watching HGTV. Like, that show is not for men. That channel's for women. It's a fantasy channel.
I think my sister likes it.
Well, I watch it to see projects getting done in 30 minutes or less. Oh, look, the Property Brothers have a new toilet. You know what I have? My husband with his head in a hole, and I have to pee in the yard. He has so many tools, you guys. So I thought this would be a chance to go clean out the garage. And so we walked out into the garage. I'm like, oh my gosh. If you would clean up this garage, you'd have aisles 7, 8, and 9 of Home Depot. So this was his idea of cleaning the garage. He hung up all his little tools on a pegboard, and then he drew a line around them like they're dead. In case they run away, we have a description.
Oh.
That's how I know where everything goes. I'm like, So I'm like, maybe I should draw an outline of your underwear in the hamper. Draw a line around the toilet. Well, you have that tool and you don't know how to use it. You guys, he has so many tools. He bought an air compressor I don't even know what it is. He had to have it. I don't know. It's $150. It's this tall and this big around. It just stands there in the driveway going, oh. It calls all the other husbands out of their houses. But then I walk up to it and it goes, why do we need that? He goes, it blows out air real fast. I'm like, yeah, so does your butt. Use that. And then a compressor, 99-cent chalupa would take care of the whole job. Oh, Jason's back. I gotta stop talking.
Oh.
This has been so good. I haven't talked to people.
Everybody, Mary Ellen Hooper, ladies and gentlemen, let her hear it.
Yay!
So funny. I won't even be able to read all the positive comments there, Mary Ellen. Jackie Segran said, H-A. And Charlie Curris loved you. Rachel Polson loved the fur collar joke. And Patty Jenkins wants to know what you named your COVID cat.
Oh my gosh. I have two boys. They call him Measle. Measle.
Diesel.
That's a good one.
It is a character in Harry Potter. Like Hermione's cat is a half Measle. My dog's name is Wicket because it looks like an Ewok from Star Wars. He's here somewhere.
Is he right there? Pet of the week, ladies and gentlemen, coming up.
Your belly, nothing happens.
We share our dogs in the after party, Mary Ellen. So
Okay.
you're in good company.
Okay.
Patty Jenkins says it's Wookiee. That's that dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too
Yeah.
cute. Oh.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we have your final comic coming up, and I'm not going to flash our tip jar, but Tony, if you wouldn't mind throwing that in the chat section. So if you guys wanted to donate to the show, it's there in the chat. And this is one of the very few people who've come back over the past 7,000 shows we've done. He is coming to us from Savannah, Georgia. He used to live here in LA. Yeah, Savannah in the house. Yeah, this guy, he has had a Showtime 1 hour special. He's a big deal on Sirius XM. If you don't like Colin, you don't like life. Put your hands together for Collin Wilton.
Man. Everybody, how's it going? Finally, we're back again. I missed you guys. Hi, thanks for holding up your animals. That was weird. I have chickens, so I'm not going to take part in that. This is, I eat in this area as well. Man, that's a filthy animal. All right, so listen, I am in Savannah. Who is cheering? Are there Savannah people? Are there Georgia people or South? Yeah, Randy, South Carolina. Where are you? You look like Florida to me.
South Carolina.
You're South Carolina. I guess you're a cackalack. All right, so I moved here from LA. I was in LA for like 20 years, touring out of LA. And then a few years ago, because of the internet, because of what we're doing here, I was like, man, I could live anywhere I want. I should live wherever I want. And so my wife and I decided we're going to pin the map, and we checked out and we found Georgia, and we're like, well, Savannah, Georgia, it's on the ocean. It's beautiful. And it seems pretty cool. And it seems safe. No hurricanes. 80 years it hadn't been hit by a hurricane, and we moved here, and then for the last 6 years, over the last 6 years, we've been hit by 5 hurricanes. Dead on. Yeah. And we don't even know when they're coming because they're naming them after the Greek alphabet. Did you know that?
Wow.
And I don't speak Greek. And why Greek? Greece is landlocked. It's never been hit by a hurricane. They should have chose a language more familiar with hurricanes, like Floridian. it would have been obvious that hurricane number 1 of the season would have been A is Hurricane Alligator Meth. And then it would have been Hurricane Burn Down My Trailer, Hurricane COVID is a hoax. And with global warming, we could have made it all the way to Hurricane 30-foot Python or Hurricane Zebras in my apartment. You know?
Hurricane TB Island.
Tybee Island is where I am, Randy.
Yes.
What island are you in?
I'm actually in Texas, but I'm from South Carolina.
You're in
We're all
Texas
good.
now, all right? Okay, so when you said South Carolina earlier, you were kind of lying in a way.
No, I'm from South Carolina.
You're from there now, yeah? Okay. You're from there, but now you're in what part of Texas?
Trophy Club,
Trophy Club,
a women's establishment.
in a women's establishment. All right.
Exactly.
Well, we're not going to get into that because it's 2021 and I don't know your pronouns, Randy. I'm going to guess at it right now because of where you live, but I'm not going to say anything about it because that'd be rude, and I don't do that.
That's rude. It's Dallas Fort Worth.
Dallas Fort Worth. Well, you're pretty. You're one of those wiser characters that moves right in with the women. They're just like, you know what? I'm tired of fighting it, and you just move right into a women's living facility, and that's smart. A lot of guys are trying to get out of the house. They're like, I don't know. I've been married 30 years. You know, it's a lot. You're just like, you know what? I need more of this. I need to live with 3,500 women. I've been married 15 years. We have 3 kids, which we just had one. It's a girl for now. I don't know how that works. We're gonna let her choose. We're not having a bar mitzvah. We're just kind of a gender reveal party, and she's gonna pick the colors that we're gonna decorate with. And then we'll know.
15 years. Yeah.
That's how we're doing it. But when you have your 3rd kid, that's when your kids without or your friends without kids come out of the woodwork and want to give you parenting advice. Have you had that happen? Isn't that rich? They're like, you better start saving your money. That's 3 college tuitions. They love that. They love that we spend the money on the colleges. I was like, well, clearly you don't have kids, or you'd know one always goes to prison. So and I know which one, so I'm ahead of the game. I've been researching facilities for my little camper. I'm gonna set him up nice, man. He's a humdinger. He's the thing is about parenting. You have kids, Randy?
I do. 2.
How many?
2.
2. You got 2. And do you feel like you were a good parent? Okay, so anyway, we'll move on. So I like the pause. The pause is a good answer.
Comment.
We'll just leave it like that. I feel like I make mistakes all the time, but here's why: because I'm a guy, and guys don't instinctively parent. Watch a woman when a baby cries; they go toward the sound. Which watch a man. I'll be in the garage where no one's allowed to bite me or crap on me ever. We got rules. It's a different approach. We have to intellectualize parenting because we're narcissistic. Men think about ourselves first, and then we have to think outside of ourselves. So it's like we have to intellectualize it, and so it's hard. We make these mistakes. Like I wanted my son to learn about jujitsu because I teach jujitsu to kids, and so I was like, he's going to learn jujitsu. He's going to learn. And if you don't know what that is, it's the ground fighting element of like MMA or UFC. So it's basically just aggressive cuddling to the death. So I wanted him to learn that, and I'm like, he's gonna learn this. And my wife said, no, it's too much violence. She just thought that 3 years old was too young for him to be choking other kids, and maybe she's right, because I've learned after 15 years of parenting that children are only not killing each other all the time because they just don't know how yet. And I was teaching them how. So, okay. So maybe she's right, but maybe I was making the world a better place. Cause here's what happened. He 5 years old, 2 years into choking kids, we send him to kindergarten. So what could go wrong, right? And my kid was the one who wore the formal wear. Did your kids do that? The kid that wore the ties to kindergarten? Yeah. He had a whole system for his outfits. He would have like Monday was like smart casual Monday, and then he had like Windsor Knot Wednesday. I don't even know. And then he would just lay his clothes out, and we would get him in the car, and then he'd suit up, we'd put him in the car, and then we'd drive him to school, and we'd pretend like it was normal, and then we'd drop him off, and then we just drive away laughing at him because you don't want to do that when they're in the car. And And so 2 months into this, he's wearing formal wear in kindergarten, and I get a phone call from his principal, and she says, your son has tried to kill another student. And I was like, okay, well, maybe you just don't know how jujitsu works. So she said, just get down here. So I come down and I show up, and my son is sitting in the lobby. You know, the principal lobby. Remember that place? Randy, you spent a lot of time in the principal lobby. So he's sitting in there, and it was a Tuesday. So he had his tuxedo on because it was Tuxedo Tuesday. And it was all dirty and ripped. And I go, what happened, buddy? He goes, Dad, there was a chubby bully cut in front of a girl at the water fountain. And I was like, man, so you stepped up for this little girl? And so he's wearing a tuxedo. So he stepped up like James Bond to protect the honor of this little girl at a water fountain. And yeah. And he goes, chubby bully, you can't cut in front of a girl at the water fountain. And chubby bully, remember the kid in school that there was always one kid that was like just way bigger than the other kids. It looked like his parents had like homeschooled him for 8 years. And then they finally decided, we don't know what we're doing. You're gonna have to start over. So that's this kid. So apparently that's the kid he tangled with. And he goes, you can't cut in front of a girl at the water fountain. And then chubby bully turned around and said, I can do anything I want. I'm 12 in kindergarten, and shoves him down. And then turns his back to my son because my son is not a visual threat to this kid, right? Yeah, mainly because my son has bad genetics on my wife's side. It's not his fault. You ever meet somebody so beautiful and you're like, wow, you must come from a beautiful family. And then you go to the reunion and you're like, are you a carrier of all this? It's like big flat foreheads and bug eyes and pot bellies and stick legs and we work for Chevy. We all work for Chevy. So not his fault. The point is, he is a threat, remember? Because he knows how to aggressively cuddle to the death. So, yeah. So my son gets up and dusts off his tuxedo and comes up with a plan. He goes, and I'll tell you in his words, he goes, Dad, I couldn't figure out how to get my forearm under his fat neck. And then I saw a jump rope and I was like, perfect. Oh no, you tried to kill another student. So was that a parenting mistake, or was I making the world a better place? Because Chubby Bully isn't going to cut in front of anybody the rest of his natural life. He got choked unconscious by a 5-year-old in a tuxedo. It sticks with you as a life lesson. You can't go to Bond movies or weddings. I mean, it really affects your future. A deterrent at the very least. So it was a mistake, but you never know. The thing, like, I wanted my daughter to learn about nature. This is a big deal. You want to share nature, but you live in LA. If you live in LA, and at the time I was in Los Angeles, my daughter was 4 years old. I'm like, I got to take her to this man-made park and feed fake bread to these ducks that people probably raised on a farm. So it's not even really a wild situation. So I'm like cheating it, and I'm talking about migration patterns and just totally making stuff up, and just to keep her interest. And I got distracted. She's feeding these ducks, and she loves the ducks, but I got distracted, and I didn't notice the goose. Do you guys know what a goose is? Yeah, a goose is Canada's retribution for whatever weird stuff it is they think we did to them. Like, I don't know whether they think that we gave them a bad deal on the Louisiana Purchase, or I don't know what happened. I went to public school in Wisconsin. I don't know, but somewhere along the line, we pissed them off pretty good. And they sent these fire-breathing, diseased waterfowl to whip our kids' asses in parks. So, and it's still happening today. So I didn't see this goose, and the goose saw the bread. He's like, bread, and geese came out of everywhere. They were hiding behind dumpsters and vans and stuff like gang members. They just started attacking my daughter, and I couldn't get there in time. I had to separate them like it was a prison riot, and I got her, and she's got the bread, and they got the bread. I was like, let go of the bread. We got to get to the van. So we get to the van, and we're screeching out of there in a 1-ton van, and we got 5 geese chasing us like if they catch the van. That's how confident a Canadian goose is. The exact opposite of an actual Canadian. So Yeah, I just wanted her to learn about nature, and she couldn't go to birthday parties for the rest of her childhood without checking where it was. Did she go into a fit? It's at the park. I don't want to go to the park. It was a visceral memory because of my little mistake. But I was trying to do the right thing. You see what I mean? So you try to do the right thing. Like we have 3 kids and you read books at night to them. You try to do the right thing. But then there's this fight over who has to do it. Randy, you know the deal. You had to get out of it every Tuesday or whatever when bowling league. I don't know what you're doing down there in Texas or wherever you ended up. But the deal is you don't always want to read to them. And so I got this, there's 3 of them. And the youngest one, that's the tough one. She wants every night but sometimes I don't feel like it. So what I like to do to get out of the reading is I just throw a little shade at dinner. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, just the slightest bit mean, and then she's like, oh, I want mama to read. And I'm like, oh, darn. And then I go, see you later. And then I just leave, nothing detrimental to her mental health or security, but just enough to make her not like me, just enough. And then I go I got to get away after a day of being with the kids. Cause I'm home. I'm a comedian. My wife, I can't justify. I've tried to justify like that. I got to work or whatever. My wife's figured it out. What we do, we pretend we do stuff in social media. So we don't really do that. We just do these shows. And then the rest of the time we nap or we talk to our friends on the phone and we pretend to do stuff. And it took a good 8 or 9 years. I was in the green. I was like, fine, I had her fooled. But then, then she started checking out my website and I noticed my, comedic future was pretty steady. It wasn't like meteoric. She's like, I think you can spend some time with the kids. So I became a little more of a stay-home dad, when I'm home. And then with COVID, now I'm working in the studio. And so, it's way easy. So for her to just say, you're going to be with the kids. So, and when you're with kids all day long and it stops, you got to go and recapture a scrap of your own independence, don't you? And then you stay up all night long watching Netflix or whatever till 4 a.m. when you should be sleeping because you just need just a tiny piece of yourself. So I try to leave the house. I go to the grocery store and the other day I just tried to do the right thing, try to do a nice thing. I said to my wife, I'm going to go to the store. Do you need anything? And do you need anything? There was my mistake, Randy. Do you need anything? I should have just gone and then got something nice and brought it back. And what a nice surprise. Do you need anything? What was I thinking? It's always some stuff I've never heard of. It's like potato leek soup, she says to me. I'm like, I've heard of potato soup. Do you want potato soup that's not sealed correctly? Have you gone completely insane? I'm going to a store with stuff that's like legal to sell. So I show up and I'm in the soup aisle and she says it's between the hamina and the hamina. So whatever. So I show up and there's the hamina and I got nothing. There's no potato leek soup. And I call her, there's nothing. There's no potato leek soup. She said, yes, it is. It's between the hamina and the hamina. I'm like, it's not. Nope. Nothing. I got the hamina and the hamina and I don't see potato leek soup. She goes, yes, it is. I said, well, actually I'm here and you're not and it's not. So how do you know it's not here? Okay. And she goes, yes, it is, and hangs up. And I'm like, all right, fine. So look, I got a camera in my pocket now. Okay. Used to be you had to send a team of horses with word that there wasn't soup. Could you imagine how hard it was in the pioneer days? Randy, was it difficult when you went out to get something and it wasn't, I'm going to town to get some supplies, honey. For a couple of days I'll be gone. Do you need any of the potato Luke soup you like so much? It's between the bullets and the horseshoes, you say? I showed up down there wasn't nothing but coffins and gunpowder. I had to send a falcon with word that there wasn't soup. It took 4 days to get the message back with a rider from the postal Wells Fargo Department of Horses, and so I spent 4 days in a saloon with a woman of the night just waiting. It wasn't my fault. I had to get word to my wife. So you see how easy it is now. We got a camera. So I send her a picture. I take a picture and I send it to her and I say, I took a picture of it not being there and I sent her the picture and I said, it's not here. And then she texted back, yes, it is. All right, well now we just have an astrophysics problem because you're telling me it's in two places at one time. It's in a superposition. It's a superposition. It's Schrodinger soup. Are you serious? So I go home and I'm furious. I don't want to deal with all this. I go home and I storm in and I say to my wife, I got, things I got to go and talk to my friends on the phone later. Come on. I got appointments. I don't have time for all this. And we get in this heated debate about telling me this stuff and, it not being there. And then we're arguing and yelling and raising our voices. And my daughter, who's 15 now, comes running in and says, "What are you guys yelling about?" And I said, "Your mom sent me on a wild goose chase." And she went, "Why would she do that? I don't want to go to the park. I don't want to go to the park." So be careful how you parent. They're listening at all times. I love you guys. You're the best. You're amazing. You're always so fun. I want to do this every couple of weeks.
All right, everybody. Colin Moulton. Come on, everybody. Colin Moulton.
Didn't even do any of my camera angles.